Okay, so we're going to start, and I know a lot of what you've read in emails that have been sent out has been around production and our plans around production over this release, which came out yesterday, and then the next number of months that are coming after that. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to share my screen, if that's okay. So we just start there because I've got a couple of little slides that I want to just run with you. So hopefully you can all see my screen. So what we're going to talk a little bit about is July and what we've been working on to this point and the vision for what that looks like for you and the problems we're going to solve over the next number of months with other releases that build on what we have done today and what we've been doing up until this point. So let's get started straight away. So many of you would have seen that we've been releasing a lot of new functionality around accounting, and today culminated in new ways of adding journal lines. And we got a great suggestion from a customer around the ability to do double entry on journals as you're processing them. And that's gone in there today. So now within the one line, you can actually do both sides of a simple journal if necessary. But we've been through this whole module and we've gone and updated the UI all around making it easier to get at the data you need, making it easier to process transactions. So you've seen some enhancements happening across April, May, June, and now July. And one of the main enhancements, I guess, apart from the UI updates around profit and loss and journal entries and journals themselves, was, of course, the intercompany and the ability to manage intercompany transactions really, really easily and fast within the platform. And that is something that I know we use internally, took 20 minutes to set up. And we were processing purchase orders, processing invoice replication, etc., really, really quickly, really easily, and I have to say a fantastic addition to the platform. But it isn't, that's not where we're stopping. So all of this was just getting us to a point where we were happy with what was there, bringing out the intercompany, because there are so many of our customers now that are trading across multiple businesses, across multiple jurisdictions, that they needed to be able to manage those intercompany transactions. But what's coming soon in August and September, for example, are reversing journals. So we have reoccurring journals in the July release. So anybody who wants to go in and add a journal and make that reoccur over the next number of months, please feel free to do so. And if you need any help, please reach out to the guys in support. But reversing journals are something that's coming out in the next release. Deferring of revenue and expenses. And this is great if you've got contracts, for example, over a 12-month period that you want to spread across those 12 months. Or, for example, when you receive an invoice in for your insurances that you've prepaid and you want to defer that cost across 12 months, you can do that in here too. We're adding foreign and system currencies to all the P&L reports and the balance sheets so that you're going to be able to see the foreign currency transactions really easily, but also system currency. And again, for companies that manage across multiple jurisdictions and currencies, different businesses, system currency is allow you to hold every transaction in your local currency, whether that's US dollar, but maybe your reporting currency, which is euros, which then allows you to consolidate everything an awful lot simpler. So they'll be released over the next couple of months. We are releasing project codes in payments. So outgoing and incoming payments, you can tag your project codes in there. We're adding quick date drop downs on all the reports. So instead of having to go in and put in your start and end dates, there'll be a drop down that'll allow you to quickly select this month, last month, this quarter, that kind of idea. So you'll be able to get in and run your reports an awful lot quicker. With the updated UI and functionality for payments. So that's all going to be about bringing the UI for incoming and outgoing payments in line with the rest of the UI, but also enhancing the functionality and making it easier to do write-offs and to give discounts and things like that when you're actually processing payments as well. And in the next release, we have updates to the company reconciliation functionality. Again, you're going to see things like column choosers in more places so you can add the fields that are relevant to you, more drill downs and Wyze panels that are going to give you access to the information within the screen you're in, so you don't have to necessarily navigate away from that to capture some information that might be relevant. So again, not stopping with what we've already done, Lots more coming, and we hope to see that coming out in the August and September releases. So everything that I'm kind of talking to you today about is imminent, if you like, over the next couple of releases, and it's pretty exciting and shows a huge level of innovation. So let's talk a little bit about production. So as many of you are aware, there is the ability to manage production within Enterpryze, within the items, and also within the WMS. But what we wanted to do was to add the concept of production orders and enhanced production functionality to allow you to plan better and get better visibility of different production aspects that are there. So what we've released now is this new menu. And if you can't see it today, you do need to log out, log back in again, and go into the user settings and turn it on by user. So it's not set as a default to be turned on. So please do that. And again, if you need any support or help with that, let us know. So what you'll see here is production orders, bill of materials, items, and item reordering. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming in August and September, but it's really useful functionality to enable you to create or pre-plan production orders for the future, whether they're for specific customers or whether they're for demand based on what you need to make. We have the resource planning. So as you know, we have the resource screens already for service calls, for orders and deliveries and activities. And now we're adding production in there as well. And we've updated the UI so that you can make those rows smaller so that you can get more users into those different rows. But the concept here is you can start to plan production orders for particular users for particular days. So you can come in then and have a look at your capacity, what you can make, what you can't make, what's already in the plan by route or by user, depending on how you want to configure the system. And from there, we're going to be able to drive other functions that I'm going to talk a little bit about as well. But the first stepping stone, if you like, on our journey over the next couple of months with production is the production orders. And anybody who's interested in getting that going, please reach out to us. We will be running a special Enterprise University on all of this to get everybody up to date and to make sure that you can maximize what it is and the value that this will give to you and your business. So here, for example, as well, is the advanced MRP. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more. This will be released either in August or September, and we're just enhancing the item reordering functionality where, based on commitment to product, you're able to create your production orders. But here you're also able to manage your raw materials based on the commitment to production orders as well. So once you start building up your production order demand for the future, you can then see what raw materials you need to meet your requirements. You'll also notice more Wyze panels within the grids here where you can drill in on free stock and on hand and committed stock so that you're able to determine when you're doing your MRP whether or who the commitments are for and whether they are something you want to include in your production or your stock reordering, whichever it might be. So lots more functions there, and even down to the ability to set it at below or at minimum stock, or just below minimum stock, for example, just to give some greater flexibility around how you might manage your MRP itself. And this will go and then create all those production orders for you. And then again, you can go into the resource scheduler or using the grid within production orders and start to plan out when you want to get those jobs done and by whom or what route you want to use it for. So that's our MRP feature. Now, WMS is really getting an awful lot of new enhancements. Not only, and I'll talk about the WMS functionality in a second, but within production, the ability to pick the raw materials necessary for particular production orders. So once you are going to make something, you can assign a picker to pick the various raw materials, scan them from your raw materials warehouse, including your batches, and bring them into your production warehouse ready for you to actually go and make them. But also, WMS will have the ability to capture the time and the actual usage of raw materials within a particular production order. So shop floor data capture is typically what we call that. So the ability for us, for users, to have a tablet in the production plant and actually capture all of the information that you want relating to that particular production order, and to make in sections. So, if you're making 100 items and you want to, at every 10, you want to book them into stock as finished items, you can do all of that through the WMS handheld. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But we've also been working really hard on advanced bins within our WMS as well. So the advanced bins allow us to track stock in the warehouse by bin location. So each bin will allow you to see exactly what's in stock and what batches and or cereals are in particular bins. So it's an advanced version of our WMS because it's giving you enhanced functionality, as you can imagine, but it also is bringing with it, I guess in some instances, a little bit more management, because we're going to be really rigid in terms of where you're going to be putting the product and where it is. And then that's going to drive your picking routines based on quantity. So for example, if you have 10 items in one bin and 25 in another bin, and you have to pick 12, it will automatically direct you to the bin with 25 in it rather than the bin with 10. So it's going to have that kind of logic built into it that'll allow you to manage your picks better and to maybe streamline your different routing for your different users across the warehouse. On top of that, there's a pick and pack manager that's coming as well that allows you to do zone picking, or indeed just do the general picking of items across your warehouse. And that's something I think that is really valuable. So I want to zone pick. We go out and pick those products. We bring them back to a packing bench where we then pack them into boxes for the customer. And then from there, we ship them and create the delivery note. So it's like a two-step check process across your WMS. Again, generally something very valuable for larger warehouses where there's lots and lots of users and lots of orders being processed, that you want to have those sort of double checks in there as well. So that's what we've been working on in the WMS. And of course, there's a few other little things that we've just introduced. Anybody who's doing batch or serial tracking, you can now add the column to the new items grid. So you can see exactly what batches and serial items are available per product at the click of a button. And you can also see items on purchase order. So now if you click through on the purchase order column, you'll see all of the different orders that are outstanding for various different suppliers. So that's a nice little handy one. And again, these Wyze panels are something that we're really going to keep rolling out because they really do offer a lot of value and to get out information really quickly. So something that we're really excited about is our integration with Shippy Pro, and this should be live by September. So traditionally, when we would have integrated with carriers, it would have been a one-to-one scenario, and it was quite expensive and time consuming. But what we've done is partnered with Shippy Pro now to enable us to define within the items things like your commodity codes, your length, your weight, your height, and depth of products, so that as you're building up your order and you're creating your deliveries, it will seamlessly pass that delivery to Shippy Pro. And from there, you're going to be able to process those deliveries with up to 180 different carriers available today. So whether that's DPD, Royal Mail, Unpost, whoever it might be, you can use Shippy Pro to connect Enterpryze through to those different carriers and automatically create the manifests that you need for those boxes, and then obviously notify the courier to do the collection. Now, I would encourage you to go and investigate Shippy Pro a little bit more. There are really great terms around the contracts that you can have with carriers, but also it has some very nice tools that actually enable you to reduce your costs, and it will tell you the cheapest person to ship with based on where it's going and the weight and things like that as well. But we will automatically calculate the weight on every order and every delivery as it's being done and send that through to Shippy Pro based on the data that you're entering into the system. So yeah, there's a little bit of information in terms of updating your inventory with the different weights and things, but once you do that, it becomes a very seamless process for carrier selection, which can be defined by customer, label printing, and then transmitting the right data across to Shippy Pro. So again, it'll be a very native integration. It will just require you to have a Shippy Pro account and to connect the two solutions together. Very similar to our Shopify, Square, Stripe type integrations, but I think you're going to see some significant value around that integration itself. So there's been a lot more, and I want to reach out, I want to say thank you to a lot of the customers for coming up with a lot of these suggestions that we've done. So one of the things we've released is three-dimensional stock. So as you're aware, within our items module, we have items, bill of materials, non-stock items, and non-stock items that can be project-based items. But we also have two-dimensional items. We have boxed square unit items, which is perfect for the tiling industry or anybody who sells quantities per box. So for example, in the tiling industry, somebody comes in and says, I need 10 square meters of tile or 100 square meter of tile. It will define based on the number of tiles per box, how many boxes you need to sell automatically and manage all of that for you. So we have the two-dimensional stock, and now we have three-dimensional stock. So if you sell something that's length by width by height, that can be worked into this particular scenario. And what we're doing is allowing you to measure all of that in millimeters and convert it automatically into meters where necessary. Great for the two-dimensional is great for glazing companies and door companies and people like that who are making products that are specific measurements and length by height, for example. But we also have the batch and serial number tracking. And again, we're going to keep on extending that. We have plans to do catch weight within the system also, so that we can start to track that for people who specifically are in the food industry that want to be able to do that and have that already out of the box. So many different variations that we can have around stock. We're really going to double down on that. Sales and purchase transactions, again, another great request. When you're exporting out your invoices or downloading them, it just puts the company name in as well as the invoice number, just to make it easy for you to find the one that you're looking for. And then in the companies, we have the ability to auto-generate the prospect codes as we do with suppliers and customers. Contracts are coming within the services module. So the ability for you to store and manage contracts for customers for various different maybe software agreements or things like that. SLAs, so the ability for you to set service level agreements for customers against particular customers or particular contracts. So you can actually go in and say, right, between the hours of 8 and 6, Monday to Friday, we have to respond to that customer within 8 hours. And it will track that within the service calls and report that back to you on time. We have the ability to hide the account balance by user. So if there's certain users that you don't want to see the account balance on the customer record or on any of the Wyze panels, you can turn that off by user. And then, as I mentioned, foreign and system currencies on financial reports, really helpful for people who are working across multiple jurisdictions. The gross profit now has 2 different calculations, so you can choose the current one, or which is going to be a percentage of the sales price, or you can have it as a calculation based on the cost price. So you can decide how you want to display that within the system. I mentioned deferring of revenue and expenditure in the finance module. We have one-off addresses for purchase transactions that you can do. So if you're doing back-to-back transactions and you just want to ship it directly to a particular address, you can do that pretty soon as well. I mentioned project codes, incoming and outgoing payments. And now I'm going to jump in, I guess, and show you a little bit of the system itself. So let's start off a little bit with some of the financial reports. So again, we've updated a lot of the profit and loss, balance sheet, chart of accounts, and the drill downs for each one of those different transactions. So instead of them being pop-up windows, they now drill down into the transaction. And then from here again, I can see the transactions that make up that balance. And then if I want to, I can very quickly just open up the Wyze panel and have a look at the journal that was affected by, the lines from that particular journal. And of course, I can drill into our newly designed journal screen. And in here, I have various different functions that I can do here as well if I want to. And that's happened across all the various different screens. And again, we're going to keep on enhancing that to give you access to more information. Within the journals then, for example, if I just come in here and I select a new line, the new Wyze panel here allows us to select, for example, I'll say fixtures and fittings. I'm going to do 1,000, but I'm going to do my double entry here as well. So if I just tick this, I can select that fixtures and fittings, and I'm going to depreciate 1,000, for example. I can show more here, and I can go in and add in my dimensions and regions and things like that as well if I want to. But if I go in and save that and click on save, I can confirm and post that journal. And once I've done that, I can now go in and go actions, reoccurring, and I can say make this a monthly reoccurring journal where I'm going to depreciate my fixtures and fittings, for example, every month or every quarter. Select the day of the month, and then go in and select a specific day. So the first Sunday, and then the reoccurring end date. So it's a nice way of managing those. So set and forget, and all of those are done. And then back in the journals grid, you'll be able to see there's a column now for reoccurring. So you can go in and actually look at all of the reoccurring journals that have been created and filter those so that you're able to isolate them and identify them and then manage them from there, whether it's canceling those reoccurring journals or not. So again, nice little feature, and you'll see us adding, as I mentioned before, reversing journals. And then in your sales invoices and purchase invoices, that's where you'll see the deferring journals, if you like, being created off of those transactions, so that you're going to be able to take your purchases, for example, and spread it over 12 months in one easy click. So that's a nice little feature there within the accounting. So again, we're going to continue going with that. Lots more for us to do. The bank or the company reconciliation screen, for example, is really, really helpful. But again, as I mentioned to you before, in the column chooser, we're extending out where relevant, reoccurring and other columns to enable you to get at the information much, much quicker and much easier. So that is the accounting updates. So I think you'll find that that's been pretty successful to date, and that coupled with the intercompany transactions, which I know are fantastic for companies with multiple organizations, has really enhanced this this whole area of financial processing within Enterprise. So moving on from there, if I just jump in here, let's have a little look at the production side of things and what we've been working on in this particular area. So the first thing we wanted to do was to add production to the main menu. So for anybody, as I mentioned before, you will have to log out and log back in again if you haven't done that today or since yesterday morning. And you need to go in by user, and you need to set up those users. So for example, if I just show you very quickly, if we go into the user settings, I'll call up my own here, my own permissions. Again, another enhancement that we've made this year. And if you go down and scroll down, you'll see production here. Just enable it, and then you can decide which of the, by user, which of the features they're able to see, if that's okay. And you'll see down here, by the way, in banking, we've also enhanced the user settings for banking to allow you to control what each user can actually do within the banking module as well. So we're just trying to enhance all of those, as we did with finance, where you can turn on and off all of the different functions within finance as well. So I know I deviated slightly from the plan there, but it gave me a chance to give you a little look at the permissions piece. So jumping back in, if I can, back into production, what you see here is our production grid. So the first thing is a list of all of the various different production orders that we have. You've got one here, and it's at status pending. This is what I'm going to make. This is the production or the planned quantity. Then we would see as it moves the actual quantity. And of course, if we part make as we go, you're going to see that build up over time. There's the production order date, the component lines, production lines, plan date, due date, owner, and the route and user. And of course, in the column chooser, there's a whole raft of different columns that you can bring in. So you have things like picking status and picking user. For the actual, when you release it, you can then assign it to somebody to go and pick the raw materials using the WMS, for example, in here too. So that's the landing area, I guess, for production. And if I just, for example, the Wyze panel allows us to change the due date, the production status, the route, the user, etc. And of course, we've added custom fields here, so you can go in and add in any of the fields you want that you maybe want to filter the production order on. So it could be priority, for example, or stuff like that. But if I go in on the production order now, you'll see it follows the same design as our other transactions. And what you'll see here, we've got production order 1 and it's open. Here's the product that we're making. And again, we've kicked off the Wyze panels, giving you information around all of these. And again, you can make this directly from a Wyze panel. We've got the production order open today, and we have our planned date, our due date. And we can see that there are 3 items in stock of the finished item, with 3 committed to customer, with 0 available to sell. You can produce -3 based on raw materials. So it's giving you a really clever insight into what you can and can't do with this particular item from a production perspective. So down as we go down through that, we have our planned quantity, our actual quantity, planned cost, actual cost because it hasn't been made yet, destination warehouses, routes, and things like that. Our ability to add in custom fields. These are the planned bill of material items, showing us warehouse it's coming from, for example, and any remarks. Planned production costs, if we have any, and we can add those in here. Remarks, comments, and attachments to that production order, which could be pulled up by somebody on the shop floor if they want to. Again, up here we have notifications. So if I want to follow this for any updates, I just simply click on the bell. And here in the search, we can go to open a production order number or browse for ones that are locked to particular customers, for example. We have our different actions, and we have our new order. And then, of course, we can go in here and edit this if we want to and maybe change the status. So here we can say, right, we're actually planning it. So we release that now to planned. Sorry, I need to put in a planned date. And I click on save. And now that production order is now in the planned stage. And the products have now been committed to it. And at any time, I can come in and say, right, I want to make this. So if I just simply click on make, I can come in here and say, I'm going to make 1. I'm going to make it to the finished goods warehouse. The additional costs, which is something that you could probably just add in here for whatever reason, can be added in, like maybe something broke along the way and you need it to repair something. You can add in the cost in here for this particular item. You can edit your batch and serial numbers and you can go ahead and make that. But of course, in here, you can see the BOM as well. So you can see the stock levels for the raw materials that are going to make this and see that your stock levels are out of kilter here. So again, the MRP will drive reordering for these particular items once they've been committed to this particular production order. So that's how the orders typically work. It'll allow you to plan all of these, link them through to customers, and I suppose manage your raw materials in a better way, in a more proactive way, because ultimately you're going to see the demand for those raw materials based on when you want to produce these particular items. And really what we're trying to do is get you to a point where you're into the just-in-time reordering of product rather than having to stock it because you're not really sure of what level of production you're going to need to meet over the next number of months. So I think that this is a really great foundation for what we're doing next in production. And I can give you some little insights as to what's coming over the next little bit. You can kind of see it up here already. But if I go in here, you'll see, for example, that we are working on our resource planner a lot. So the first thing I'll point out is that the row heights are an awful lot narrower, and you can set those yourself. But what I've got in here now is production orders within the other various different objects that we allow you to schedule. So the idea here is that a particular user can make something, then deliver it, and then potentially service it all within the same resource scheduler. So you've got everything happening here within one particular place. You can see here that Wyze is going to make this at 10 a.m. on Monday the 28th, and it's going to span the whole day. It's green because it's still open, and that will change to red when it's completed. So you can see this sort of dynamically, and you can have a look at your overall plan. And of course, as you're probably well aware, there are multiple calendar views that you can have that would actually support your type of business. So if it's just day views, because everything you make takes a day, you can choose one of those, for example, but you can pick from any of these if you wish. And you can also go in and, as I mentioned before, change your row height here, select your different users that are here. And you can also go in and update colors and objects that you want to see here, for example, and filter this by customer. So if you're working on a number of production orders for a particular customer, you can actually have a look at the plan just for that customer or just for that project, for example, and see all of those different things in there. So that's a big enhancement around resource scheduling for production orders. And then if I just jump in here, this is the advanced MRP tool that we've been working on as well. So you can see here, we're talking about creating production orders in this instance, but we can use this for item reordering as well. So what we're doing here is saying, right, I want to show items. I want to show them all, or just below minimum stock levels, or below or at minimum stock levels. And then I can come in and include committed stock into my calculation, include stock on the PO for stock levels, include raw materials committed to production. So again, we could group all of our raw materials in a particular product group if I just want to run my MRP for that particular subset of items that I have. And then I can include stock on production orders for stock levels. And from there, I can apply my filters. I can see what's available. I can drill in on these items. So I've got 0 on hand. And again, I can see my stock movements. I can see my committed stock, for example, if I have any. And I can come into my actions here into the column chooser and, for example, select what's on production order or what's committed production. So you've got all of these different options open to you to enable you make an informed decision around your MRP. And a little handy one where we just go, add in my suggested reorder quantity into the reorder quantity, so I don't have to type it all in again. And then I can carry on from there and create my production orders or create my purchase orders, depending on which I want to do in there. So that kind of really enhances MRP and production. And of course, then finally, you'll see within the WMS more functionality, as I mentioned, in the advanced bins, but also in the make function, where you're going to, in essence, as we can today, make items within the WMS. So we can come in and select, I have no data to display, as is perfect in a live demo, but I can come, here it is here. I can come in here and actually make these items using a handheld. So how many did I make? What additional costs were there? What components did I use if they changed? And what production costs did I actually have versus what was expected, and save those to complete the production order within the system. So again, it's just linking up the functionality that's there today back into production orders as well, to give you the ability to do either or, planned production or I suppose sort of regular discrete manufacturing, for the want of a better term. And again, we've got all the other functions in here around your stock taking, transferring stock, receiving products in, all your batch and serial number traceability built in here as well, giving you the ability to manage all your stock digitally and sort of break that broken connection, or fix that broken connection where, we're all digital in the office, and then the minute it gets to the warehouse, it all becomes paper-based, and we want to get away from that. So if you can imagine, you've got your order, your purchase orders, your receipt of product, your put away in your bins, and your management of those items until the sales order is then picked, delivery is created, and then using our Shippy Pro integration, we have that seamless link with your courier to create your manifests and to push those out into the logistics network that allows you then to satisfy those customers and meet their requirements. So all in all, a lot of new functions that we've enhanced, a lot more that we intend to do. It's been a really, really busy year. The new UI, the new functionality around project management, intercompany, new integrations that we've built, the new module around production, the warehouse management system, but we're only halfway through the year, and we see a huge amount of additional features that we want to release for you over the next 2-3 months that are really going to enhance the platform. And the one I think that I haven't made mention of yet is our new customer portal, which will be released, which will be mobile responsive and enable you to empower your customers to log on and get copy invoices, see their statement, pay their bill, log service calls, all through their mobile device or through their browser. That's just literally going into development today. And I think it's a great way for you to empower your customers to purchase from you, if maybe not in a B2C kind of way, but in a B2B or dealer network kind of way, method. And that will give you great functionality that we intend to enhance. But the real advance on that one over the current customer portal is the mobile app, which allows you to access all that information from a mobile device, which I think is really great. So lots coming. I think the last and final thing that I wanted to introduce you to, if I may, is our new Excel reporter tool. And again, this is something that I'm kind of doing hot off. I'm going to just open up a new Excel spreadsheet. So this is a blank workbook is where I'll start. So within this, we have the ability. No, it doesn't seem to want to behave. Live demos are wonderful, but I'll show you a little bit of the way this works. So here is an output that I've received from Excel. So it's a sales analysis example. And what I can do in here is literally click on the Excel button, and I'm just going to check to see if my version of this in Excel on SharePoint actually has it, because it works in both the web version and it works on the desktop version of Excel. I'm just a little bit more familiar with the desktop. So I'll create a blank workbook. And if I'm in here, my little add-ins should pop up, and it doesn't. There it is. So my little Enterpryze add-in pops up here, both on either the desktop or on my browser version. And what that allows me to do is log in directly into the Enterprise data source. So you can see here, I just used my same credentials as I had within Enterprise. So it's all single sign-on. And now I'm connected to Excel Reporter. So from here, I click on Next, and I choose the company that I want to report from. And each tab can report on different companies and different objects. So if I click on my demo company, I can report on accounting, CRM, or sales. And these are the current objects that are there. And if I want to, I can come in here, for example, and say, right, I want to report on sales, and I want to report on sales invoices, and I want to include my credit notes, and I want to go back to, I'll just go back to January the 1st. And now I go and I retrieve that data. Okay, I don't have access to it within this particular database. Live demos are always a dangerous thing. So if I just go back and I'll run this again, maybe I can get it based on other information. So I'm still connected. I go into FMB, I click on Next, and I go in, let's say CRM, and I want to bring in my customers and retrieve that data. No. So as per usual, live demos don't always work great. The concept around that is that I then pull in the data and I receive the data in this particular kind of format here. Okay. So I can see all of the different fields, including custom fields, are populated within the spreadsheet. And from there, just like anybody, I can go and create various different dashboards based on pivot tables that I've created. But I can go and refresh that data at any time. I can then go and share that data if I want to with my sales team in a read-only format through the web browser in Excel. So now you have the ability to build up some really clever reports and then share that information with different users in a read-only format that allows them to potentially create their own pivot table or look at the data in a slightly different way. But you have all your Excel skills to hand in order for you to be able to build up the kind of reports that you want. Really useful, in my opinion, for consolidated sales reports across multiple companies, sales analysis reports by sales reps, managing your profit and loss and building out your own management accounts, using pivot tables and filtering data in a particular way. But ultimately, it's a great tool that you can utilize to report on the data directly from Enterprise. We are looking for a few. I have 2 volunteers already. We're looking for 5 in total for a pilot, just to give us a bit of feedback on how it works and how usable it was. It has gone through extensive testing. It is something that I have shown before on other webinars, but I do think this particular at this particular junction, it's time for us now to get it out and let people start to utilize it and see if it adds some value and helps them to report on the data that's in Enterprise. We will ultimately extend that out further, and that will include, for example, other objects like purchases, like items with reorder information, for example, to allow you maybe to do more complex calculations around MRP, which would then be imported back in again, potentially as purchase orders. So there's a lot here, not just as a reporting tool, but maybe also as something that can help you to drive your reordering and things like that. So that's all part of our release in Q3. And then the next step really for us, just to give you a little insight into what's going on in our heads, is really around AI and analytics and dashboarding within the platform to enable you to have a standard set of dashboards. So as you're familiar within Enterprise itself, there is the ability to manage widgets where you can go in here and decide which of these widgets you want to display. The concept that we have is that there will be a whole myriad of these different widgets, allowing you to bring in lots of different dashboards that might be relevant to you at a particular time, whether it's related to debtors and creditors, whether it's related to open transactions and the value of open transactions over time, that kind of idea. We're going to be able to give you all of those different reports within these little widgets so that you can have those there. And then from there, as part of this enterprise intelligence suite that we're building, we're also looking at natural language querying and also custom dashboards that you'll be able to get built by us to incorporate within your own system, so that you can actually maybe report on data that's pertinent to you that might not be relevant to other users within the platform. So that's all something that we're sort of planning in for Q4. Right now, we're all about production. We're all about the WMS, really doubling down on making it as powerful as we possibly can make it to help you to manage your inventory better, report on it and track it through your supply chain as best as possible. So lots there. I hope you get a lot of value out of what's been released already. If we can be of any help in terms of getting you set up, getting it turned on, talking you through any of those different features, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and look forward to catching up with you maybe a little later in the year and introducing you to our whole enterprise intelligence concept and our enhanced reporting features as well. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a great weekend ahead and a great week. Thank you very much.